Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Today our group will be presenting on integrative negotiation, the key contextual factors, the key steps in integrative negotiation process, and the factors that facilitate successful integrative negotiation. So what is integrative negotiation? Also known as win-win negotiation or win-win bargaining, it is a negotiation strategy that involves parties working together to find a solution that allows them to achieve their objective. Integrative negotiation often involves group brainstorming or creative thinking for individuals to suggest any ideas that will benefit each party involved. In addition, integrative negotiation is the absolute opposite of distributive bargaining. In order to achieve integrative results, negotiators must manage both context and process in order to gain cooperation and commitment from the parties involved. In win-win bargaining, there are 4 key contextual factors which include creating free flow of information, attempting to understand the other party's needs and objectives, emphasizing commonalities between parties, and the last one is to search for a solution that meets the goals and the objective of the other parties. There are also 4 key steps in integrative negotiation process. The first one is to identify and define the problem. The second one is to surface interests and needs. Next is to generate alternative solution to the problem, and the last one is to evaluate those solutions and select among them. Hello miss, welcome to our store. Is there anything that I can help you with? Hi there. Well, I was planning to buy a new phone for myself. Yeah, sure. Can you please let me know how much is your budget? My budget is around 700 or 750 ringgit at least. Is there anything that I can buy within that price range? My suggestion would be this one. It is a great phone with great price. It only costs around 7 to 800 ringgit and it comes with extra free gift. Is there any way that you can lower that price a little bit more? Because I think it's still outside of my budget. If you are unable to do so, it's okay. I just go look around at other stores to see if there are any cheaper prices. Okay, never mind. I will give you this phone with all the free gift for only 690 ringgit only. Okay then, you got yourself a deal. I'm buying it. Thank you. Okay then, let me take out the bill for you. From the example, the win-win situation can be seen through how the seller get the commission from selling the phone and the buyers are able to buy the phone at a lower price. The first strategy in integrative negotiation is to create free flow of information. By doing so, it will help to promote the development of a good integrative solution. Negotiators must be willing to share their true objective and to listen to each other very carefully. Both parties should also create conditions for a free and open discussion for related issues and concerns. And unlike distributive bargaining, integrative negotiation is all about the willingness to share any information with each other. Hai Miss, cari apa? Boleh saya bantu? Hai, saya nak beli phone baru. Okey, boleh. Boleh saya tahu berapa bajet cik? Bajet saya tak banyak. Kalau boleh nak bawah RM1,000, boleh? Oh, banyak tu RM1,000. Saya cadangkan cik ambil yang ni lah. Kamera dia lawa, screen pun full screen. Saya jual RM1,200. Alah, terlebih lah bajet saya. Saya sebenarnya nak guna telefon ni untuk online class. Saya tak kisah pun kamera dia cantik ke tak. Yang penting storage dengan bateri dia besar. Kalau macam tu, cik ambil yang ni. Yang ni, storage dia besar, bateri tahan lama. Screen pun sama full screen. Harga saya kasih 800 sekali dengan free gift. Oh, bolehlah. Saya ambil yang ni ya. Terima kasih. Okey, tunggu sekejap ya. Saya tuliskan resit. Negotiators often differ in their needs, preference, thoughts, and behavior. One party needs may differ from the other party needs. This will bring us to our second strategy, which is attempting to understand the other party's needs and wants. By understanding the other party's needs and objectives, it will help the negotiators to understand and satisfy them better. When one party is talking about their priorities or preference, negotiators must try their best to understand what the other party wants to achieve. Besides that, negotiators can also differ in their ability to differentiate needs and interests according to their position. For example, let's take a look at these two individuals right here. Mark is someone who knows and applies integrative processes, while Johnny is an unskilled and naive negotiator. So, in this situation, Mark, as someone who is more experienced than Johnny, may need to assist Johnny in discovering his underlying needs and interests.
To sustain a free flow of information and the effort to understand each other's needs and objectives, negotiators may need a different outlook or frame of reference. Individual goals may need to be redefined as best achieved through collaborative efforts directed toward a collective goal. Sometimes the collective goal is clear and obvious. For example, politicians in the same party may recognize that their petty squabbles must be put aside to ensure the party's victory at polls. Managers who are quarreling over cutbacks in their individual departmental budgets may need to recognize that unless all departments sustain appropriate budget cuts, they will be unable to change an unprofitable firm into a profitable one. At other times, the collective goal is neither so clear nor so easy to keep in sight. For example, one of the authors worked as a consultant to a company that was closing a major manufacturing plant while simultaneously opening several other plants in different parts of the country. The company was perfectly willing to transfer employees to the new plants and let them take seniority up to their time of their move with them. The union agreed to this arrangement. However, conflict developed over the transfer issues. Some employees were able to transfer immediately, whereas those who were needed to close and dismantle the old plant could not. Because workers acquired seniority in the new plant based on the date they arrived, those who stayed to close the old plant would have comparative less seniority once they arrive at the new plant. The union want everyone to go at the same time to avoid this inequity. This was unworkable for management. In the argument that resulted, both parties lost sight of the larger goal, to transfer all willing employees to the new plant with their seniority intact. Only by constantly stressing this larger goal were the parties were able to maintain a focus on commonalities that eventually led to a solution. Management allowed the workers to select their new job in advance and transferred their seniority to those jobs when the choice was made, not when the physical move actually occurred. The success of integrative negotiation depends on the search for a solution that meets the needs and objectives of both sides. In this process, negotiators must be firm but flexible. Firm about their primary interests and needs, but flexible about how their needs and interests are met. When the parties are used to taking a competitive orientation toward each other, they are generally concerned only with their own objectives. In such a competitive interaction, a low level of concern for the other's objective may cause two forms of behavior. First, negotiators may work to ensure that what the other obtains does not take away from one's own accomplishment. Second, negotiators may attempt to block the other from obtaining his or her objective because of a strong desire to win or to defeat the opponent. In contrast, successful integrative negotiation requires both negotiators not only to define and pursue their own goals, but also to be mindful of the other's goals and to search for solutions that satisfy both sides. Outcomes are measured by the degree to which they meet both negotiators' goals. They are not measured by determining whether one party is doing better than the other. If the objective of one party is simply to get more than the other, successful integrative negotiation is very difficult. If both strive to get more than the other, integrative negotiation may be impossible.
Okay, hi, assalamualaikum. So, have you ever heard about integrative negotiation, which requires a win-win situation at the end? So actually, I don't quite understand how this works. Maybe someone can help me here. Maybe he can help me. Okay, so thank you. So I am Daniel Mirza, and today we are going to talk about integrative negotiation, and I'm going to emphasize about the key step. What is the step that we must do? Okay, so the first key step is to identify the problem. You have to define the problem in a way that it is acceptable to both parties. You cannot be selfish. You cannot only think about yourself, your profit, and you cannot be biased. And please do not manipulate any information, because this is integrative negotiation, not a bargaining, not a competitive negotiation. So you have to define the problem in a way that acceptable to the both parties. Don't be biased to yourself. And also you have to state the problem. State the problem in okay, let me gather my thought. Okay, you have to state the problem towards practicality. Practicality is the most important thing, not emotional satisfaction. Because sometimes we get emotion when we negotiate with anyone. We tend to feel that we are the only person who are right. The other party's opinions, strategy are evil. Only we are the angel. And this is so wrong. You cannot do that. This is a win-win negotiation. So please, any distraction like emotion or anything that distract you from getting to the solution must be erased. Okay, next you have to state the problem as a goal, not just a solution process. Instead of saying how we can achieve it, you have to say what I want to achieve. It is what, not how. And you also have to identify the obstacle, because there are a lot of challenge when you want to create a resolution. That's why it is so important, so crucial to identify the obstacle. And I think personally, as the most important thing in integrative negotiation is you depersonalize the problem itself. Okay, so personally, I think the most important thing is you depersonalize the problem, because when we take everything personal, you think you are the only person that are right, and you view other party as evil, then you cannot find a resolution that can satisfy both parties. So separate it. Do not personalize anything. This is integrative, not bargaining. And you have to separate the problem definition from the search for solution. It means that you have to define the problem first before jumping into the solution, because sometimes we don't know, are we really have solved the problem. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Step 2. Surface interests and needs. Identifying interests is a critical step in the integrative negotiation process. Interests are needs, concern, desire, or fears that motivates a party to partake in a negotiation. The difference between position and interest. Position is referred to what they want. It is only the surface statement and rarely provide insight into hidden values. Meanwhile, interest is why they want it. It also signifies the party's hidden reason and also why they take certain position. People often take position because they believe that the position addresses their interests. Position may also conflict with other party interests, but it doesn't mean that there are no possible solution.
Well, hi, hello. Yes. I just wanna ask. I want to buy this full set of book, but may I know how much it costs? The full price. The full price of this set is actually 870. Oh, since I bought it in full, can you give me like 10% off? Unfortunately, I cannot give you 10% off since that price is actually the promotional price. But instead, I would add a few free gift for you, like a few notebooks that related to the syllabus of the books, and also a mini whiteboard for you to use instead. Okay, sure, I'll take it. I will take the full set and also the free gift that you mentioned just now. Okay, sure.
Negotiator must carefully identify the other interests and came up with a possible solution for both party interests. Type of interest: substantive interest is an interest that's related to economical or financial issues such as price or rate or the substance of the negotiation. This interest may be intrinsic value for their worth or instrumental, which is value because it can be applied to variety of future situation, or it could be both. Relationship interest is considered the value of the ongoing and future relationship. It involves one or more parties having an interest in strengthening the relationship. A symbolic relationship is valuable than substantive interest. Interest in principle means the parties' values on what is right and fair, and it is also served as their guidance for their actions. Interest in principle can also be intrinsic or instrumental. Some observation on interest. There is almost always more than one type of interest underlying in a negotiation, which means party will often have more than one substantive interest about the issue, and they can also care deeply of all the other interests. Parties can have different type of interests at stake. Parties may have different interests than each other, and these different interests needs to be identified to invent a possible solution for their interests. Interests often stem based on deeply rooted human needs or value needs. By understanding the framework of basic human needs and values are helpful in understanding interests, such as using the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Interests can change in a couple of days or in a few minutes of the first interaction between the parties. It may put some interest to rest, but it may raise another interest. Negotiator must be attentive to the changes of their own interests and also the interests of the other parties. Surfacing interest. Sometimes people are not sure about their own interests. Negotiator can ask probing questions and carefully observe to identify their interest, and once the interest is identified, it may be possible to come up with a solution. Surfacing interest is not always easy to one's best advantage. It probably may be difficult to identify its interest alone, and it may also be misleading as some parties tend to not pursue their subjective interest rather than objective.
Moving on to step 3, which is generating alternative solutions. This technique requires the parties to define their underlying needs and to develop alternatives to meet them. There are 8 methods for generating alternative solutions by redefining the problem or problem set. Those methods are log roll, expand the pie, modifying the resource pie, bridge solution, non-specific compensation, cut the cost for compliance, superordination, and compromise. However, there are also additional methods to generate alternative solutions, which would be explained in the slides.
As the CEO of a company, Goldwyn wants to fulfill his priority by completing his new rocket project, led by his finest employee, Augie. This project requires extra time and effort. However, Augie was not willing to take it unless her priority of additional compensation was met. After considering her priority, Goldwyn has decided to give up a portion of his budget for the extra time and effort given by Augie, and Aoji is willing to sacrifice her time and effort for the extra compensation.
Hello Aoji, thank you for coming on such short notice. I have a new project to launch a rocket to the moon, and I need my finest employee to lead and complete this project, which is why you are here. So I need to know if you are in or not.
I'm sorry, Golwin, I cannot take this project because my working schedule is already jam-packed. However, I'm willing to lead if you are to give additional compensation for my extra effort and time in this huge project.
A compensation. Alright then, you have yourself a deal. You are officially assigned as the leader of this project of mine, and I'll provide you the additional compensation that you demand.
Thank you, Golwin. I will make sure this project will not go sideways and will be completed within the time allocated.
Okay, based on this situation, both parties can fulfill their interests by giving up something with low priority for a preferred high priority outcome. The CEO was willing to compensate Aoji for the extra work and time in exchange for a successful project, while Aoji has to give up her time for the additional compensation. That is the situation for the log roll method. Hello and good morning, Golwin. Do you mind if I take this working station? Good morning, Connor. Actually, I was thinking the same thing. May I ask why do you want to sit here specifically? Oh, I just love the breathtaking view of the city, and I might need it to relax my mind during working hours. What about you? I need this working area to have a better lighting and, of course, close to the coffee machine. Right, after arguing for a while, they finally came to a solution with the help of a senior employee. The senior employee has decided to expand the pie by letting Connor to have the near window working desk, while Golwin was led to a working area with more electrical light settings and even closer to the coffee machine. Both of the parties were able to fulfill their interest, as Connor gets 60% of the pie and 40% goes to Golwin that didn't get the natural sunlight for the better lighting as intended personally. So that's the illustration for expand the pie method. Thank you. Golwin, can you please slow down the music? And do you mind smoking by the window? I cannot hear my idols talking on the show, and the smoke might block my view of the TV. Nah, I'm sitting on my favorite sofa, enjoying my favorite music and this cigarette. Why don't you watch a show in your room? What's the big deal? I'm watching it on the big screen by hook or by crook, and you cannot stop me. Okay, let's lower the heat down and find a solution. After the argument, both parties have come up with a solution to solve the failed initial demands from both sides. Golwin started to move his favorite sofa near the window and uses a headphone to hear his music on the phone, while Jack gets to watch his show on the big screen without the view blocking smoke or noise disturbing his peace. By using the bridging solution, both sides were able to fulfill their interests by creating a new solution to replace the failed initial demands. That is the illustration for the bridge solution method.
So, first step in evaluating and selecting alternative is to narrow the range of solution options. Examine and focus on options that negotiators strongly support. This might help us to understand their interests and avoid focusing on negative options. Negative option that does not have support from the other party must be eliminated immediately. Next, we need to evaluate options on the basis of quality, standards and acceptability. Solutions need to be judged on how good they are and how acceptable it is to those who use them. Meaning we need to see them from their point of view, how the option will help them in their respective ways. The purpose is so the party can support their argument with good and valid reasoning, so it is easier to gain the other party's support. For example, if the option selected does not benefit the people who use them, they cannot convince the other party because they do not have the reasoning to use the option. Moving on, negotiators should adhere to the criteria for evaluating potential integrative solutions in the early process. The criteria stated are precedents, industry standards, arbitration decisions, or other objectively fair outcomes and processes. Negotiators can use this criteria when they have to narrow the choice of options to a single alternative. For example, your company wants to choose a new receptionist out of 3 candidates, so we will be looking at discipline, years of experience and computer skills. By doing this, we will avoid personal reference, and the criteria taken into account will be used to improve their choice. Next, justifying personal references might upset the opponent's party, as they might see that their choices was not sufficient. However, personal references are vital. By justifying personal references, we can examine the interests of the opponent's party and reach a better agreement. For example, by asking someone why they didn't like seafood, we can filter out our choices and find an agreement that would satisfy everyone. The fifth step is to be alert to the influence of intangibles in selecting options. Intangibles are non-physical assets that brings benefits to the party. For example, recognitions, fame, and influence. Intangibles can be a big factor or influence for a party to fight for their side. Intangibles can be discussed in open so the other party can show the options that satisfy their intangibles. This will be very important in negotiations.
Let us continue our discussion. Next is use subgroup to evaluate complex options. In a big organization or a company, we will be handling a big project that will need us to divide our workforce into a smaller group of people. By doing so, all these small groups can each take a responsibility in the project. Some can examine several problems that may have been missed if we do it in a larger group. Next, we can take time out to cool off. A negotiating parties may become upset if communication between both parties break down, or they feel like their preference is being ignored, or even the other parties keep on demanding for a certain option. Parties should take a pause if they become enraged. They should express their unhappiness and explain the reason behind it in an open and honest manner. Before continuing to assess choices, the parties should feel that they have regained emotional equilibrium. Number 7 is explore different ways to lock roll. What is lock roll? Lock rolling is a mechanism to combine options into negotiated package. Neil and Bezerman has verified that collecting various concerns into a package, there are a range of ways that can be taken. Number 1 is risk preference. People have varied risk tolerance, and it may be able to develop a package that accounts for this difference. For example, Party A
has a lot to gain at the moment, while Party B has a little to gain. Both of them keep on rolling until they get a desired outcome. Number 2 is expectation. Differences in expectation regarding the likelihood of future event can allow the parties to come up with a solution that meets both of their demands. For example, Party A with a lot to lose right now can be a little pessimistic about the future, while Party B with nothing to lose like to gamble with the future, or what we call it an optimistic. Number 3 is time preference. People may have a time preference. One would be concerned about meeting the short-term needs, while the other party is interested in long-term rewards of their friendship. With lock roll, they can invent a solution that can pipsqueak their interests. Next, number 8 is keep decision tentative and conditional until all aspects of the final proposal are complete. We can maintain a hesitant tone during this stage, allows negotiators to suggest improvement or amend the final product. The integrative negotiation process should be as open and flexible as possible. Points agreed upon in previous meeting aren't finalized until the full package is determined. Parties should feel confident that if conditions in the conversation change, they can reopen a previous option. And lastly, we should minimize formality and record keeping until final agreement are closed. A negotiator should not say anything that may change the negotiated agreement. We do not want to be held by anything that has been recorded. The fewer formal records there are during the solution generating step, the better. That's all. Moving on to the next presenter.
Okay guys, how do we handle this project? Should we divide our workforce, or do you have any suggestion? Yes, Encik Ahmad. Yes sir. I think we could probably divide our workforce. Some can handle the management, some can even handle our marketing teams. How about man, I think we should call it off. Company B keep on demanding for more options. Whoa, dude. Calm down. Maybe we could take some time off. This might be a problem. So, JZ, how about our proposal? Do you agree with our agreement? Your proposal is quite tempting, but maybe we can take some time to amend a few things. What do you think? I don't think this agreement should be considered between the two of us only.
In order to keep your factory open, you have to pay taxes of 25% from your annual income. Do you agree with that? The amount is a bit debatable, but in order to keep our factory open and to employ half of the town's workforce, which can benefit both of our parties, we will accept the term. Thank you. Hey, do you want to join me in the burger business? The plan is like this. We open for 5 days a week, but I will work for 3 days and you work for 2 days. The wage that I will get will be higher than you since I work for 3 days. Do you agree with that? Your offer seems interesting. I guess I will agree about the wage since you contributed more of your time than mine. So I agree with your offer, and when do we start? Hey, I want to go to the shopping mall to buy a new shoe for Hari Raya. Do you want to come too? If you want, we can share the Grab car fee. Oh yes, I wanted to go there too because I need to buy some groceries for my mother. And that's a great idea. Maybe we can share the Grab car fee. Ahmad, I want to invite you to join my next business project. Do you want to work with me? I believe we can work together because I believe in your multi-talented skills such as problem solving and many more. Oh wow, that's a great offer. Maybe I will take this chance to join you and we can be a great partner. Abu, we need to finish this house construction project earlier than expected, and because the owner requested to do it so. Oh, I see. If that's the case, I think we will need to hire some extra workers, boss. Oh, so if that's the case, you may hire some extra workers in order to make our project finish earlier. Alright boss, I will find some extra workers in order to finish our construction as soon as possible. For integrative negotiation to succeed, the parties must be motivated to collaborate rather than to compete. They need to be committed to reaching a goal that benefits both of them rather than to pursuing only their own ends. Parties in negotiation maximize their outcomes when they assume a healthy, active self-interest in achieving their own goals while also recognizing that they are in a collaborative, problem-solving relationship. And as shown in the previous scenes, all parties involved are very committed and motivated to work together in order to reach a goal that benefits both of them.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I'm Hawa Tasnim from band 4B, matrix number 060087. So for my part, I will be explaining another 3 aspects, which is trust, clear and accurate communication, and also last but not least, an understanding of the dynamics of integrative negotiation. So let's start with the first part, which is trust. Why do we need trust? This is because mistrust inhibits collaboration and will lead to the act tentatively or defensively. Defensiveness means that they will not accept information at face value but instead will look for hidden deceptive messages. So, there are 3 tactics to elicit information from the other negotiator when he or she mistrusts you, which is the first one, share information and encourage reciprocity. Second is negotiate multiple issues simultaneously. And last one is make multiple offers at the same time. Moving on to the second point, which is clear and accurate communication. Negotiators must be willing to share information about themselves. Other members of the negotiating team can frequently identify ambiguities and breakdowns in communication. Mutual understanding is the responsibility of both sides. Last but not least, the third point, which is an understanding of the dynamics of integrative negotiation. Negotiators always assume that the distributive bargaining process is the only way to approach negotiations. While studies indicate that training in integrative negotiation enhances the ability of the parties to negotiate integratively. That's all from me. Thank you.